Now, before we get started, the first thing I want to do is set up our workspace. I'll be working here on a Macintosh, but we'll be using very basic tools to build our site, so you should be able to set your system up and follow along with me no matter what operating system you're using. Now, first of all, I've got the working files right here on my desktop. You can put them wherever you like, just make sure that they're convenient and you can find them. And inside this folder, you can see that I have a folder for each one of the chapters, and they contain files that we'll be using as we go through the lessons. I'll just let you know whenever I'm going to be opening up a file from here. Down at the bottom of the chapters, I have a completed site sample folder, and this folder contains a copy of the finished website that we're going to be building. You can preview it if you like. Just double-click on the index page, and that should open up in your browser. You can click around through the links and see what kind of content we'll be creating. Now, to build web pages, we really only need two applications. We need a program to write and edit text files, and we need a browser to preview them. Here, I'll be using the text edit program for writing my files. Now, if you're working on a PC, you could choose to use Notepad, which is a very similar program, and both of these programs actually come free with the operating system. For my preview browser, I'll be using Firefox. You can choose whatever browser you want, but Firefox is also free for both the Mac and the PC platforms. Now, I know that there's a lot of specialty programs that you can choose from out there for writing HTML files. Most of them will make your code writing faster and much easier, but I've specifically chosen to use these very basic apps for this video so that we can focus on the code that we're writing and not the application we're using to write it. Now, if you're using TextEdit like me, there's a couple of settings that you'll want to set up in Preferences to make sure that you're writing plain text files. So I'm going to go up to the Preferences and we'll change a few things. First of all, under New Document, I don't want to be making rich text files. I want to be making plain text files. I'll also set up whatever font and size that I'm comfortable viewing. And then we can go over to the Open and Save category. Here, I'm going to click to select Ignore Rich Text Commands in HTML Files. That way, when we open up an HTML file with this program, it won't try to format the page, it'll simply show us the code. Now, there's one other setting that we'll choose in plain text file encoding. Currently, these are both set to automatic. But for web pages, we want to be setting our encoding to Unicode UTF-8. I'll do that for both open and save files. And that will make sure that our browsers know which character set we're using. This one, UTF-8, probably the most commonly used one for over half the content that we see on the web. Now I can close up my preferences, and we're ready to start making new documents. Let me add a little bit of text so we have something to see on the page. I'll just put up here my first web page. And then let's save our new HTML document. Now, in general, you can use whatever name you want. So I'm going to name this file First Page. But I am going to pay attention to the extension at the end of it. Instead of using a TXT extension, I'm going to either use HTM or an HTML extension. Now, it doesn't really matter which extension you choose. They'll both work for any modern browser that you want to work with. The HTML extension is a little bit older than HTM, so I'll choose to use that. And like I said, it doesn't matter which one you use, but I would recommend that you pick one and stick with it. And that way, your finished site won't be a messy mix of different file types. Now I'll just save this right into my Chapter 1 folder so I can find it. Click Save, and I'll click Use.html so that I keep the same extension. And now that we have our first basic web page created, let's go see how it looks. Now I'll just open up my browser. And like before, I can use the File menu, Open File, to be able to find that first page HTML document that we created and open it. And there we can see how our page looks.